All right, guys, let's go and welcome back to Everything College Bowl podcast. Today, me and Nick here with our preview and prediction for the Boca Raton Bowl between Western Kentucky and James Madison. JMU 7.5-point favorites, 52.5 is the total. 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, December 18th from FAU Stadium down in Boca. Looking at the WKU offense going up against JMU's defense, there's a lot of guys here entering the portal for Western Kentucky. I think it's about 8 different starters, including second leading receiver Easton Mezer, and then starting quarterback Caden Veltkamp. Typically, though, when guys have entered the portal from Western Kentucky, Tyson Helton has allowed them to play in the bowl game. So I anticipate these guys will be playing. And that's the information we're going to moving forward with. 25.5 points per game. Veltkamp, of course, he was the backup all of last year. Came into the bowl game down 28 in the first half against ODU. Put on a clinic, led them to a victory in that crazy game. 23 touchdowns, 10 picks this year. Over 2,800 yards passing. This is a group that, has, not been all that good, especially over the last month. Keyshawn Johnson, he's going to be their leading receiver with 66 grabs for 855 yards. Mezer has 725 and 4 scores. And then after that, it's Katie Hutchinson and Elijah Young, who's a running back. And then Dalvin Smith, a veteran who's been disappointing this year, 330 yards. It's a good group. It's an impressive one, I would say, for the most part. But they only have 14.7 points per game over the last 4 games. Got blown out against Jacksonville State, who was at full strength in the conference title game. This is a team that also ranks 109th in running the football. That's not in their DNA. They run the football a whole lot. This is a high-volume passing attack. Elijah Young, though, is a good dual-threat player at 846 and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Going up against a very good James Madison defense, Nick. You got the numbers right there in front of you. And this is a top 40 defense in pretty much every single statistic. They're really good in allowing, slowing down opposing passing attacks. They have 17 interceptions. They also get after it with, top 40 run D and being top 10 in sacks, led by O'Neal there for them. What do you think about this matchup here, Nick? Because, again, I think these guys will all play. Eric O'Neal is an elite player going up against an all-right offensive line, but Western Kentucky, they've been dragging their feet coming into this game, and they're probably not going to be that up for it.
They've not been playing good football as of late, and it's certainly been concerning if you're a fan of the Hilltoppers, who are just not looking too good over the past couple of weeks, blown out by Jacksonville State, and a team that they beat prior to that to get in a matchup and a rematch with them, and they really looked lifeless in that rematch. They looked bad against Louisiana Tech, looked bad against Liberty prior to that, so really been tough sledding for Helton's crew. If Veltkamp plays, he's a really good quarterback. If he doesn't play, TJ Finley's probably not going to play either, so then you're looking at third-string starter potentially. I think it's the coach's son, Turner Helton. So really not a good look for Western Kentucky. That could be in some deep trouble. Veldkamp's a good quarterback, right? 66% comp rate, 23 touchdowns, 10 picks. Good numbers there. 10 picks obviously a bit concerning. Johnson, top receiver, 855 and 7 scores. Messer's really solid as well with 14 yards to grab and 4 scores, 725 for him. Elijah Young is a good dual threat. He has third top receiver on the team while also being the top rusher with nearly 850 yards rushing and 3 scores, 2 receiving touchdowns as well. So they mix it up there a little bit. This team doesn't run the ball a whole lot, but still a really potent passing attack that can really catch you sleeping and can put up some points if they have success, about 261 yards per game through the air. As for JMU, there's a lot of really strong pieces, certainly on the front part of this defense. This is a dominant unit across the board that's really strong against the run. They're good against the pass as well. They're a great scoring defense, in terms of their given points per game. They're a really physical unit. 9th in sacks. They get a ton of sacks. They have a lot of different pieces there that are solid. Eric O'Neal has been phenomenal. 49 total tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 12 sacks for him. Leads the team in both categories there. Trent Henrick is a good linebacker, 9 tackles for loss for him, 3 sacks, 54 total tackles, and Kamari Mans is a really good player on the defensive line, 6'3 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 8 sacks for him. A really big physical JMU defense here.
Yeah, top linebacker Jacob Dobbs is expected to remain out. This is still a very good D-line, though, for JMU. It's not just O'Neal, it's Emmanuel Bush, Kahari Mans, and then Chris Fitzgerald. So a great defensive line there. They're really good against the run, and they're good at getting into the backfield and producing sacks as well against, again, a unit that's really struggling coming into this game. Moving to the JMU offense against Western Kentucky's defense. So it looks like Alonzo Barnett and all that production you see on the screen with an ankle injury, he's not going to be playing in this game. I think they're going to be giving the keys to Billy Atkins, who's been in the program for a couple of years now, but he has not really played all that much. The good news is he has a pretty good supporting cast. Jameer Knight is a good receiver. Amari Dollison, Cam Ross, nice trio there. Taylor Thompson at tight end. It's 4 different guys with 400-plus yards. And they're really good running the football. George Petway, 880 yards, 5 touchdowns. Losing Barnett, I think, might significantly hold this run game back. Wayne Knight, running back number 2 is going to get a lot of carries here. And I'm assuming Atkins, he's going to be a guy that can, run the football a good bit. Only 204 pounds, 6'2". Don't really know anything about him, quite frankly, but I would assume he's probably going to add some type of element with his legs. And I assume they're going to do so regardless, because this is just a bad run defense for Western Kentucky. They are 85th in 30-plus yard pass plays allowed at the same time, while their run defense is 130th nationally, giving up only 24.5 points per game, albeit. But they get torched on the ground, Nick. They give up a lot of big plays. They get absolutely grinded on. They give up 386 against Jacksonville State in the CSU title, 400-plus rushing to Liberty, 331 to New Mexico State. That's a game they won. But these numbers are pretty poor, and they've been able to keep most of these games close, I guess, other than that 40-point beatdown just a week ago. But I think regardless of who plays at quarterback, Nick, this is probably going to be a pretty bad matchup for this defense. We can't stop anybody on the ground. A couple of their defenders on the D-line are in the portal again. I think they'll play in this game, but it's certainly not looking good for them. Good news is they have a phenomenal safety in Upton Stout, who can certainly be a game changer. Anthony Johnson Jr. as well. So they got some good players. Deontay McCray, another one. For the most part, though, it seems like JMU, the script's going to be very simple.
Even without Barnett, this is still an offense that I like. I won't touch on his stats. You've seen him on the screen, not playing in this game. Certainly disappointing. We'll see what Atkins looks like. I think he could be a serviceable quarterback for this offense. A guy they're going to plug in and see what they can get out of him. A guy that's been with the program for a couple of years now, like you said. So that's certainly someone that they could potentially rely on. He appeared in a few games here and there for this team. We'll see what he looks like for this offense. In general, it's an offense that is really solid. They have a good supporting cast. You have consistent receivers. They have four guys with over 30 grabs for this team. Emir Knight's been really solid, 567, 4 scores for him. Amarian Donaldson, 551, 17.8, and 6 scores. Cameron Ross, 443 and 3 scores, while Taylor Thompson, their tight end, 427 and 5 scores. Good units, good unit there. All 4 of those guys have above 30 grabs. With George Petway, the running back, also has 24 grabs and 200 yards, 2 scores out of the backfield. Petway as a runner for this team. He should lead the way here, get a lot of carries, 886 yards per carry and 5 scores for him. Really good number. Wayne Knight is a solid, serviceable backup, 427 and 2 scores for him on limited touches. I think this is an offense that you plug anybody in at quarterback. I think they'll be just fine. Obviously, a couple weeks to practice, get those extra reps in that can certainly help this offense. I think this is a good enough unit overall that has some solid pieces. This defense has struggled at times. Western Kentucky, 221 yards per game given up on the ground, 5 yards per carry. That's why I think this could be a huge blowout for JMU, because they're just going to be able to run the ball all over this team. You don't really have to be anything flashy if you're JMU. Just run the ball all over again, and you should have a successful day here. There are decent pieces on this defense if they're going to play in this game. Devontae Matthews, I think he's a good DB, 89 total tackles for this team, 4 pass breakups, 2 picks for him. Some decent pieces at linebacker in Chandler Matthews and Darius Thomas. Both of them are solid pieces. Deontay McCray is good on the defensive line, 53 total tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, while Upton Stout is a great DB with 52 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, a pick, and a pass breakup. Anthony Johnson Jr. is not bad either, with 8 pass breakups, 2 picks, 49 total tackles. I just like the matchup for JMU. This is an offense I think they can really run the ball aggressively and attack this WKU defense that's ranked 130th in the nation against the run. Definitely a weak matchup for WKU.
110th nationally in sacks allowed, though, for JMU. They're on the field a lot, about 40 rushing attempts per game. They also have about 30 passing attempts per game. I think you're going to see maybe 10 to 15 times throwing the football. I don't think they're going to put this quarterback in too many situations to turn the ball over. I think you're looking at upwards of 50, 60 rushing attempts, and that's where WKU is going to get absolutely annihilated. So even if you're not successful early, I think if they keep doing that, they're going to start carving them up. That's going to be the game plan. Solid pass rush, 22 sacks on the year for WKU. Looking at the team comparisons and, of course, the prediction for the Boca Raton Bowl. Originally, quarterback was going to be the nod for JMU, but I think right now you got to give it to WKU. I assume Veldkamp will play in the line, sticking to about 7.5, 8 points. I think suggests that a lot of those starters will indeed be playing in this game. And I think WKU will probably keep it a little close. Helton's a good coach, especially in bowl games. But I think the ground and pound attack is really just going to rub its way to a big victory here. I originally had more points being scored with Barnett being out, Nick. I certainly think, likely being out, that is. I don't think that it will be as wide of a margin, but with their ability to run the football and WKU struggles, this could be a major blowout. So I'm taking JMU. Big confidence points. Would I be shocked if WK won outright? No, because Bowl Mania is a complete crapshoot. And they do have a competitive defense, I guess, at some of their positions in terms of talent. But JMU should quite frankly win this matchup by a lot.
And I think they will win this matchup by a lot. I had them winning by a significant margin there. 18 points is what I ended up going with. I think they'll be able to just run the ball effectively and really attack this WKU defense over and over again. Yes, it's Bowl Mania, so crazy things could happen. So WKU could certainly flip the script, and if Feldkamp plays and some other main key pieces play, I think it's possible. I think some of these guys will not play ultimately. The line, it's 7.5, so obviously the bookmakers think JMU is good money to have at least a touchdown win in this game. I think it's certainly possible they could score points early on the ground. They're a very effective unit with some solid backs. They're not going to throw the ball a whole lot, not going to put the quarterback in harm's way. He has to just be a game manager out there. I think that they can certainly do that. A guy that's been in the program for a couple of years can manage this game. JMU looking for their first bowl win as an FBS program after jumping up to FCS a couple of years ago. They lost in their only bowl appearance last year, but Signetti had already left the program to co-coach Indiana, so no real faults there. A lot of the team was also not playing in that game. I like JMU to get the job done down in Boca. I think this is just a good team that's going to go out there with some fire, go out there, try to put up some points on the board. The WKU team just got absolutely blown out. They're a little demoralized. Probably some of these guys won't play. Yes, Helton's a good coach in bowl games. I certainly do concede that, but I like JMU here. I think they'll run up the score, put some points on the board. I got some pretty high confidence points in this game.
It's going to be a phrase episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.